Ever wondered why games released in the Asian region get English subtitles, or why a game may be released in Asia but not the West? To help explain these things, the Hong Kong-based online retailer PlayAsia recently posted a lengthy blog post going into various ins and outs of localizing games in Asia. But first though, what exactly is meant by the Asian region? In the video game industry, Asia normally refers to various countries in Southeast Asia. These include Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Indonesia and the Philippines, as well as others, and is a very big and influential market for publishers. However, the Southeast Asia region is also one of the most linguistically diverse regions in the world. There are many different languages as each country's main language of choice. This naturally puts publishers in a difficult position when it comes to localization. Localizing games in each individual country's native language would not only require a lot of time and effort, but would also be very expensive. But there is a solution to get around this. Despite these regions being extremely linguistically diverse, proficiency in English is generally very high, and English is used as their common language in things like business. This means publishers are able to release their games in English and still be able to reach most of their audience, while saving a lot of money and other resources. PlayAsia's post goes into this and explains how Asian English releases are on the rise due to this very reason. There are other reasons though for this growing practice, and one of these is the hidden international potential they have with importers from Western countries. For example, a common trend that we see is importers purchasing games from Asia that do not get Western releases. But if the game's already been localized into English, why not just release it in countries like the US as well? Again, there are a number of different reasons for this. One of these, like PlayAsia explains, is due to situations like Dead or Alive Extreme 3 and publishers fearing loss of profits or bad PR over perceived cultural differences. To quote, following the Dead or Alive Extreme 3 controversy and the statement from Koei Tecmo regarding the West's political climate when it comes to games, it has become quite obvious that fear of unknown reactions when releasing a game is at the forefront of some publishers' priorities. When a game is developed with a very specific audience in mind, as is the case of many Japanese game developers and publishers, the content can garner undue negative feedback simply because of misunderstandings when it comes to intent and acceptability. This negative feedback can manifest as generally bad public relations or at worst a loss in sales, adding to the potential risk of the market. By making the title available in Asia with English language options, all of this risk is avoided, as popular Western media generally doesn't concern itself with Asian releases. The end result is a publisher providing English-speaking fans within Asia an opportunity to experience the game, and those outside of Asia the opportunity to play, albeit with international shipping costs. This reasoning for games not getting Western releases has started to become increasingly common. For instance, the producer of 2016's VR title Summer Lesson issued a similar sentiment in regards to why a Western release would be unlikely, stating, "When you think about the current game situation and the climate in different countries, where you have to have a character from every different race or nationality, someone else would say mine is not included, which is the climate we currently see with games. Since there are people who can't set aside the game and the actual problems in society, I don't want to open that can of worms." Like Dead or Alive Extreme 3, Summer Lesson then went on to not be released in the West, but to get a version released in Asia with full English subtitles. Idea Factory International are another company who have spoken about this. In an interview, the company president was asked if the Dead or Alive situation has also affected them, and influenced what titles they localize in the West, to which he replied, "Yes, sadly it has stopped us from localizing certain compile heart games. We don't want to censor anymore because we know that's not true to the original developed art." There are a number of other reasons though for why games may be released in Asia but not the West. Next, the blog post goes into Japanese publishers' lack of Western marketing. Japanese games normally get the majority, if not all of the marketing in their home country, and then may see disappointing sales outside of Japan. Marketing towards their largest markets may make sense, but the post says it would be wrong to then look at the numbers and conclude that there must be a lack of interest overseas. If a game doesn't get proper marketing, it's going to be much harder to sell it. It is also suggested that a part of the marketing issue could be cultural, with Japanese insular society, meaning businesses prefer to do businesses in Japanese. However, it is also suggested that another reason for lack of releases is simply fans vastly overestimating the amount of market research publishers have. It's hard to truly gauge the amount of people interested in your products, and so the best thing you can always do is reach out to companies and tell them what games you want released. Even if your message seems to fall on deaf ears, it's always in a company's best interest to take note of all requests that get sent in. This is comparable to what a NIS America employee said last year about the chance of releasing Criminals 2 uncensored on Steam. Here, the localization member explained, "I will say again that I am trying to get as much weight as I can behind an argument for making an unrated, uncensored Criminals 2 on Steam, but without surveys and sales numbers, there's little to go on. I did some cursory research and discovered, for example, that there are no surveys, petitions for Criminals 2 coming to Steam uncensored. Without something like that, all we really have to go on in terms of numbers are like YouTube comments, which, come on." Due to these statements, Censored Gaming then also went on to create a petition and gained nearly 5,000 signatures. There are even more reasons though. For example, sometimes legal and licensing issues can make bringing games to another region challenging. Licenses for voice acting, for instance, is a pretty common hurdle that localizers face, which is a big reason why it's not always possible to release games in the West with dual audio. Dubbing in English is also very expensive. There's much more info over on PlayAsia's blog, so make sure to check out the link in the description if you're interested. The post also goes into the reasons why Asian games are much more likely to get physical releases than Western countries, which is also another big reason why people import, so fans can get a hold of a disc version instead of a download. Also, make sure to check out the link in the description to PlayAsia's Asian English store page, where you will be able to find all Asian English titles that they currently stock. There are hundreds and hundreds of different games, and not only are new games being added all of the time, but many of these you won't be able to find anywhere else. PlayAsia also ends their post with this message. "We here at PlayAsia.com put a significant amount of time behind championing the efficiency of releases in Asia to Japanese publishers, because it provides them with an efficient route to reach both the physically inclined demographics in Asia, as well as the smaller international group of gamer who prefers physical products all within a single region's release. Video game localization done right is and continues to be a big part of our strategy to facilitate gamers all around the globe. The good news is that Japanese games are a niche in the West, and many publishers can recognize that they should look at their specific audience habits rather than analyzing the dataset as a whole. If consumers of Japanese media overwhelmingly vote with their wallets for physical localized video game releases, then titles targeted towards this audience will follow suit." Hopefully this video has helped to explain a few things about Asian English games. Are you interested in Asian English releases? What game would you most like to see an Asian English release for? What Asian English games have you purchased in the past? As always, please share your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, thank you for watching.